Hello, and welcome back to Unhelpful Yoda. Today we will be doing Collecting from Scratch episode 4, but also the season finale. I'm not particularly liking the way the series is being made at the moment. It's very different from what I initially wanted it to be, mostly because I was working under way more time constraints than I am now, somehow. Um, Even with daily uploads now with Nerd News, I have more time to make my weekly video than I did before because the weekly videos don't matter as much, if that makes sense. Like, when I was doing Collecting from Scratch initially, I had to have a video out every Monday. That was what the schedule I set for myself. But if I didn't put one out, you could tell with the next video that the algorithm just was not receptive to me missing a week. And Collecting from Scratch would take so long that I would miss a couple weeks if I tried to work just on that, and trying to divide my time between getting that kind of done and putting out a video every week. Just didn't really have time for it. But now, because I post a video every day, if I don't post a Saturday or Sunday video, or if I post something stupid and small that didn't take a lot of time to put out, it doesn't really matter, because the weekly videos keep a general viewership going. I only get like 30 video or 20 to 30 views a video, but that's fine. Even if I get like 10, that every day for 5 days, I still end up with, it's usually around 100 views a week, and it's something. That's still more than I was getting previously with my weekly upload, where that one video would get like 7 or 8 views or 10, 20 views, and that would be it. It just made it harder if I missed a week to have that next video do well. I'd usually miss a week and then have to post like 3 or 4 videos before I started getting my more typical 20 to 30 views. Not that any of that really matters to the people watching, but just this is why I haven't made a Collecting from Scratch in a while. I've had the games for a while. I think I even said in the last video the next one should be pretty quick. I have the games already, I just have to actually make the video. But I really don't like where the series was going. When I initially wanted to make it, it was more supposed to be like a vlogging series, and then talking about the Xbox games that I collected. It was supposed to be about the collecting, not the games themselves specifically. But I feel like it's become more just like a pickups video where I'm just like, yeah, I bought like 40 games. This is going to be like an hour-long video, so let me just ramble them off real quick to get it over with, because there's too many games here and I can't, discuss each one individually and make the video a reasonable amount of time. And then I just never had footage of us actually going anywhere or doing anything, so the vlogging aspect quickly fell out, and then it became mostly about the games I bought, and there were so many that I couldn't keep up with making it like individually talking about the games. It was just very quick bite-sized talks about the games, which, while that part is kind of fine, the vlogging being taken out completely, just due to not doing it when we would go to places, not having the time to do it when we go to places, it kind of just made it not as fun for me, and that's, if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to do it. So I ended up just not releasing this episode. I took what I had, I scrapped it, just got rid of it, and just wanted to start over. And finally getting to it now, because I've reworked what I want the series to be kind of back to what it was originally envisioned to be. And while it's not going to happen for a few months now, because we're in the holiday season and the winter, one, I don't have money to buy games because it's the holidays, and my money's just being put other places. This isn't the most important thing to me. At least the collecting part isn't the most important thing to me. So it's not going to happen until closer to spring, when I can go to like yard sales and flea markets and stuff more often. And that obviously isn't happening in 30-degree rain. So it's not going to happen for a few months, but I want to get this video out there on why the series has kind of gone away at this point and when it will be back. I expect it to be back sometime next year, March, April, May, somewhere in that area, kind of depending on the weather, mostly because the flea markets have to open first. Like retro game stores are always open, so like I can go to those too. But post holidays really, so I would expect sometime in the spring for this series to come back fully. and it'll be completely different from what we've done these last 4 episodes. I do think that episode 1 is the most indicative of what I wanted the series to be. There was a lot more of the vlogging stuff was in there. We walked around the store. We were recording in the store, showing the stores off that we had gone to. And I think that's more along the lines of what I want the series to be. So we're going to kind of scrap these last 3 episodes, but I do want to cover the games that we have because I'm not going to go out and buy these games. That would be ridiculous. So for today, now that long intro is over, for today we're going to talk about the games that I have left over from what would be episode 4, and we're going to cover those really quickly, and then we're going to do a quick overview of what we have for the series so far, all the games that we've gotten, and then we'll cut and we'll move into starting in the spring what the new series will be. Alright, and here is all the games that we have for the current Xbox collection that we haven't talked about yet. Obviously you can't see them yet. We're going to go over them one by one. For starters, we're going to go with Panzer Dragoon Orta. This is a fantastic Xbox exclusive, on-rails shooter type game. Really good. It's just another Panzer Dragoon. There's a reason Panzer Dragoon, despite not having a whole lot of games and kind of being niche, is still a pretty popular and big name. They're fantastic games, and this is a really good one. Definitely recommend it. All right, next up we have the Capcom Classic Collection Volume 2. It's just a bunch of old Capcom games, which, I mean, I don't know which games are on here because I haven't played this, but I'm assuming we got at least Street Fighter. So that's something. Yeah, they don't even give you a list. I don't know. It's classic Capcom games. This is probably really good. I haven't actually had a chance to play it, but this is probably really good. And at the very least, there's a Street Fighter game on here, and I mean, you can't really go wrong with a Street Fighter at the very least, but Capcom Classic games, they're usually good, so I assume this is probably a good game. Next up, we have the Punisher, and I haven't played this, but I've heard really, really good things. If I'm not mistaken, there's like an entire part of the game where you have to like torture somebody, but this is one where I do plan to go back and actually play it because it looks really, really good. And I've heard good things, but I haven't had a chance to play it. You're going to find that that's a common theme here. I did not play a lot of these games because, well, I didn't really like the way the video was going, as we talked about. So, next up we have Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball Maxed. This looks ridiculous. I do like the cel-shaded graphics, though. Like, I like the way the graphics look in the game. Okay. Scratch that. I like the way the graphics look on the cover. This has like a cel-shaded look to it, even like the back artwork and like the characters, but then you look at the actual game images, and it looks nothing like that. Those look terrible. This looks bad. I don't think I'll actually play this. Looks kind of rough. I don't really care about paintball. I'm going to assume this is just a worse Splatoon and call it a day. Next up we have Splinter Cell Double Agent, and I do really like Splinter Cell, so I'm actually going to play this one just on my own time just to play it because I really like Splinter Cell, and this is just another Splinter Cell game. Haven't played this one. I think I've only really played like 2 or 3 of the Splinter Cell games. I know I played the first one. I played the one on the Wii U. There's another one I played. I think it's Chaos Theory. I don't remember. But I don't remember playing this one, at least, and definitely not on the Xbox. So we'll go back and play this one just because it's Splinter Cell. And Splinter Cell is great. Next up we have the Godfather game, and I played this a long time ago on the PS2. At this point, it's probably getting close to like 15 years ago. So not really sure how good it actually is, but I remember my brother liked it a lot. So probably going to go back and play it. If I'm not mistaken, this is like a GTA clone or something. But it's been a very long time, so I haven't actually played it recently and not enough to really have an opinion on it, but it looks pretty cool. We're going to do these two real quick together. We got First to Fight and Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. I don't care about either one of these games. I'm not going to play them. These look like crap. This one actually looks pretty cool. This is an Xbox exclusive, Rally Sport Challenge. I mean, I like racing games. This is like the mud racing type games, like the dirt road stuff. So this will probably be fun. I'll at least put a little bit of time into this one. Next up we have Spy Hunter, and I don't know much about this game, but it looks like it's a like Splinter Cell, but with a car, if that makes sense. Like the way they show it in the back, kind of looks like you're like James Bond, but only in the car. I don't know how I feel about this. I might play it a little bit, but I don't imagine this being very good. Next up we have WWE Raw 2. I do like classic wrestling games, and this is around the generation when I think they were not the best, but this was like the last time they were really good. I remember like SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 with ECW, something like that. Was really good. I really did like that one, and this is around the same generation. I think this is a few years earlier, before they did the Raw versus SmackDown stuff. So I'll probably play this one. I mean, it looks cool. I do like classic wrestling. I'm not a wrestling fan after like the last, I don't know, I think the Invasion was the last time I really cared about wrestling. So not really a huge wrestling fan anymore, and really never, but I do like some of the older games, so I'll probably give this a shot. Next up we have Splashdown. This is a, what's it called, a wave race type game. I forget what the jet ski racing game. I do really like Wave Race, and this just looks like a Atari version of Wave Race. Probably not as good, but it might at least be some fun. Next up we have the Haunted Mansion game. And this is a really good movie, but movie tie-in games usually aren't that good. So I don't know if I'm actually going to like this game, but I'm at least going to give it a shot because the movie's fun. And how bad could it really be, right? Next up we have Evil Dead Regeneration, and I really like the Evil Dead. Big fan of Army of Darkness. This looks really cool, and I definitely want to play this one. If nothing else, because it's an Evil Dead game, and Bruce Campbell is in it, so I mean, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna actually play. This might be one that gets a video because this looks really cool. Next up, we're gonna do these three together. They are the Burger King games. I've had these for quite a while, actually. They just never really made it into a video. They were mixed in with my 360 games because they're more like 360 games, I guess. They box anyway. But we have all three of them, and I don't know. These games are kind of bad, but they were free, I believe, with like Burger King meals. So how good do you really expect them to be? But I don't know. These look kind of stupid, but we have them. Next up we have Fabled: The Lost Chapters, and I believe this is just an expansion to the Fabled game, the first one. I have played the first Fable. I never played 2, and I don't think I played 3. So we'll probably play this one after we play the first one. Like, I want to replay the first one, and then we'll probably move on to this one at some point. But Fabled is a good game, so I expect this to be pretty good as well. Next up we have Fireblade, and this is a helicopter fighting game. And I don't really like the air fighting games because they're usually pretty complicated to control. Like, the controls are usually kind of janky, and they're not a whole lot of fun. I don't expect this to be a whole lot of fun. It was also $5, so just another game off the list. We have Ford Racing 2. Like I said, I like racing games. I usually don't like when they get this specific as being like just one car manufacturer. I'm more like a Gran Turismo fan, but this is probably fine. We'll give it a shot. Next up we got Full Spectrum Warrior, and this is just like another Battlefield Call of Duty game. Not really going to give this much of a shot. Next up we have Amped, and this is a snowboarding game. I do really like 1080, and there's another one on the Dreamcast that's really good. I don't think it's Amped. I think it's so I'd probably give this a shot because I do really like the snowboarding games. They're usually pretty fun. SSX is really good. So, I can't believe I forgot SSX in this conversation. Anyway, SSX is really good. 1080 is really good. And there's one on the Dreamcast, Rippin' Riders, I think it's called. That's really good as well. So, probably give this a shot, because if nothing else, it's just another game like that. It might not be as good as those, but it can at least be decent. Next up, we have Mech Assault. And I'm not a big fan of the mech games, especially around this time. They were a little overcomplicated. If you don't believe me, check out the most expensive Xbox game there is with the whole big-ass controller, Steel Battalion. we'll get there eventually. I'll actually play that game. I promise when I get that one, I'll play that game. This one, not playing this game. This game looks terrible, and I don't really like mech games. Next up, we have The Incredibles: Rise of the Underminer, and I actually hear this is a good game, so I'm probably going to give it a shot. I really do like the Incredibles movies, both of them, so I see no reason not to at least play this game. I don't expect a whole lot from it, but if it's a decent game, that's probably more than it has any right being, so we'll give this a chance. Next up, we have Flat Out, and this looks like a mini-game based off-road game. I can't really tell. There's like bowling in here and like a destruction derby. Maybe it's a destruction derby type game. I don't know. It looks kind of dumb, but like fun dumb, so we'll probably give this at least a chance. Next up, we have Genma Onimusha, and the Onimusha games are pretty good. We'll probably give this one a shot. I haven't played a whole lot of Onimusha, but I hear they're pretty good, so we'll probably give this a chance. Next up, we have True Crime Streets of LA. I do remember playing this game as a kid. It is, yet again, another GTA clone. They were really popular at the time. I think in this one, for some reason, I think you play a cop. I could be mistaken, but I think you play a cop in this one. I don't know. We'll probably give it a shot just because it's a GTA clone, but I can't imagine it's very good. Next up, we have Lights, Camera, Pants, SpongeBob the game. I did play this on the GameCube, I believe, when I was a kid, or maybe it was the PS2, when I was like 14 or something, but it was pretty good, and I do really like SpongeBob, so we'll probably play this one just because it's SpongeBob, and SpongeBob games are actually a lot better than you might think. Like, most of them are at least decent games. No, we'll do these two next. We got Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds. I do like the show, but I haven't played either game, although I own multiple copies of both. I think I own both of these on all three systems, so we're going to have to play it because I have too many copies of it. At this point, I own more copies than I've played, so I have to at least play one of them, so we're going to play it on the Xbox just to, get that real Xbox experience for the series. And lastly, the final game we have here for today is X-Men Dimensions, or X-Men Next Dimensions, and I have heard really good things about this game. I'm not entirely sold on it, but it looks pretty good. I do like the graphic style being used for this game, and it's X-Men. How bad could it be, right? At the very least, X-Men's fun, so we're going to give it a shot. I'm hoping they'll like it, but it's going to be hit or miss. We'll see how it goes. If it's good enough, I might make a video on this, because there's, I believe, 2 games in this series, so maybe we cover both as like a, hidden gem of X-Men games or something. But that's all the games we got. It is quite a large stack. Like, we did get a decent amount of games for this episode. Kind of a shame I didn't really like where it was going, but it's fine. We have several hundred games still to go in the Xbox collectings. Alright, and now we're down here at the shelf of Xbox games that we already owned. These are all the ones covered in the last couple of videos. We're just going to go through real quick. As you can see, we have 3 shelves here. I guess you can't see all 3 shelves, but there are 3 shelves here. 1, 2, and 3. And then this shelf is actually double packed. This shelf is actually double packed with a second layer of the sports titles and some random like casino games and karaoke in the back. I'm not going to go over all these games because we already made like 4 videos on all of these games. If you want to see what games are here, you can just watch those videos. Fairly large collection right now. I want to say that most of this is decent stuff. I have a lot more good games than I thought I would have at this point in collecting. As someone who's been collecting games for a very long time, even just naturally collecting games, just as a kid, not wanting to sell the games I had because we didn't have a whole lot of them, and the ones we did have, I wanted to keep and play continuously. Usually when you start out collecting, you get a lot of jank really early because they're cheap, they're easy to find, and you're kind of just picking it up just to pick it up, especially if you're going for a complete collection like this, where every game is a game I need because I want to get all of the games. This happened when I started buying 64 games as well. Quickly picked up a lot of these sports titles and the low-end titles because they're cheap, easy to find, no one wants them, and they suck. So now I have a whole shelf full of garbage games. But in this case, because I was playing the games actively throughout the time that I had them, I started to collect a lot of bigger titles pretty early on. Things like Grad by Ghoulies and Gauntlet Dark Legacy, one of my favorite games, just period, and quickly became one of my favorite games on the system. I picked these up pretty early because they're good, and I needed to get them eventually. And then some more hidden games that I found that I didn't know I was going to enjoy quite as much. Some games I didn't realize I would enjoy quite as much as I did are things like Kingdom Under Fire, which was more like a real-time turn-based strategy, if I'm not mistaken. I forget exactly how it played, but it was a lot of fun. I played it for a little bit for one of the first or second episodes, and this quickly became one of my favorite games that I purchased in that episode. This series also has given me a chance to go back and play some classic games that I did really enjoy as a kid and figure out, are they really good or did I just like them as a kid? One of those being Simpsons Hit and Run, and I still say this game actually holds up pretty well. I think it needs a remake or a new game in a similar style. I think people overestimate exactly what this game was. A lot of people will say a GTA clone. Not exactly. Just because you can get in and out of a car does not make it a GTA clone. This is not open world. There's open levels. Think more like a Mario 64 where you can go in, you can run around the castle. That's cool, but you really just go into the paintings and that's the world. Sure, the world's open, but you're still jumping between worlds. Not quite an open world, but really fun game, and I loved it as a kid, and going back and finally getting a chance to play it again, still love this game. Would love to see a new version of this game, even if it was just a remake or something like that. This is the kind of game that really does need some more attention. I say some more attention even though it's one of the most popular games from the era, but more attention in that they need to do something with the game. Remaster it, straight port it to a modern system, just throw the game out physically on the Switch. I guarantee it'll sell 1 million copies in like 2 weeks. Game's fantastic. People love it, and it's The Simpsons. We haven't had a good Simpsons game since Hit and Run. Some other games that I really did enjoy from this is Dragon's Lair 3D. This is a fantastic game. A big fan of the Dragon Lair series to begin with, but I'd never heard of or played this game, and this gave me a chance to play a game in a series that I really loved, and it's not bad. It's a little janky. It's kind of what you expect from this era of 3D platformer, but it's a decent game. A little more money than I think I'd want to pay for it. This cost me $20, which isn't a lot, but in Xbox games, that's a decent amount. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the collection we've built so far. There's nothing crazy here. I think the most expensive game I currently own on the Xbox is probably Def Jam Fight for New York. This is about $90 to $100 depending on the condition. I got this one for $85. Actually, it was more like $80 because I had a discount, but that's because it has no manual, and while I do prefer to get manuals, and I'll probably track one down for this game specifically, this is a really hard to find game and quite expensive, so I just wanted to pick it up when I found a local copy because the point of this series is to do this all locally. Note that nothing here was ordered or purchased online or anything like that. When I initially made the series, I said that for every 100 games I got, I would buy one online just to kind of get some of those big titles that I'm never going to find locally, realistically. But I haven't actually had a chance to do that yet. I do plan on buying 2 of them. I hope that I can get the chance to get them for the reboot of the series on the next, so it will be the next episode 1 of season 2. I hope to buy at least 2 of them, which I've more than 200 games here, not counting the games that we covered today. That are new to the collection, but there's 2 games I really am looking forward to covering, so I want to get those out the way. It just happens that they're also 2 pretty big titles, so I don't know how I feel about buying them specifically online, because I feel like it'd be more fun to find them in store. It would be really exciting if I get to find one locally and just pick it up immediately, but we'll see. We'll see how the first couple of weeks of collecting again goes. But that's it for this. We're going to flip back and we're going to discuss Season 2 more in depth now and what the plans are. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in a few months. So that's all the games that we have. And as you can see, we have a lot. There'll be a number at the end of the video, like always, of what we actually have versus how many there are, but let's talk about the new series and how I intend it to go going forward. Obviously, the vlogging will be a bigger portion. That is what I want the series to actually be. So even if these come out less regularly because of that, I'd rather take the time and put like 1 or 2 out a year, but they're fully dedicated vlogging videos, than just put them out like every month and not have time to do the vlogging part. Me and my wife do not have the time to go every weekend to a retro game store or to a flea market, but I do really like flea marketing just outside of gaming, so we're going to try to do that more this summer and hope for the best. We'll see what we can do. But the vlogging aspect, even if it's once every couple of months, is the biggest part of the series. That's what I want out of this series, so we're going to focus more on that, and that part will be the primary part of the episodes, and the games will be a lot less. We're going to buy a lot less games so that I can spend less time talking about talking about every game, and it doesn't take up 30 minutes of the video of me just talking about a ton of games. We're going to trim it down, try to only pick up a few games at a time and really talk about each game. So even if the video is 20 minutes of me talking about the games again, it's going to be 20 minutes of me talking about 3 or 4 or 5 games instead of 27 seconds on each game, and that still takes up 80% of the video. The other thing is I want to do more gameplay for the games, because while I do play the games for the series, you don't actually see any of the games in the series because I didn't know how to record gameplay and currently don't know how to record gameplay. So we bought this thing, and I don't really know how to use it yet, but we'll figure it out. We got like a couple months to figure out how to do gameplay footage. There'll probably be videos in between now and then that's of me learning to get gameplay footage better and slowly working on that idea, because I don't really know how to use it yet. But my Xbox does have HDMI out, so there's that. I will be playing them on the original system though. I don't really want to use the Xbox One that I have to play the games. One, because some games don't work on it, but also because the idea is to get the original Xbox experience. The HDMI port, or the HDMI converter I have, doesn't actually do anything. It just converts it to HDMI, like physically, I guess. It's not like an upscale or anything like that, so the games aren't going to look really any better, I don't think. There might be some upscaling, because I know the original Xbox can do the original Xbox can do like higher resolutions and stuff like that. So we'll probably get the best resolution possible out of the Xbox, but it's not going to be like when you hook up one of those upscalers. We're not doing all of that because I do want it to have a more authentic, like you were playing this system in 2003. So that's the idea, but we do have the Elgato, the HD60S Plus. I don't know. This is the one Best Buy had on sale. Or for sale. Not on sale. For sale. And that's really all I know. It does HDMI, and it records gameplay. We'll try to figure it out. There'll probably be episodes covering some of these Xbox games in the future. The ones that I really wanted to talk about more in depth that I didn't get a chance to when originally making these episodes. And we'll kind of go back, cover those. We're not going to do every game because some of the games I really didn't care that much for or about. Looking at all the sports games that I've had to buy that I just not going to play those. But some of these other games are really cool, so we will do, try to do some episodes in between that are just covering those games and talking more in depth about them when I didn't get a chance to initially. But then going forward, hopefully each episode will at least cover some of the games or the better games in depth, and then even if we end up with a handful of games, it's between 3 and 7 or 10 is kind of the goal. I don't want it to get too large. If only 2 or 3 of them are actually good games and the other handful are like sports titles or just random shovelware or whatever, we can show bits of those. Just this game was terrible, I had no interest in playing it, and put it to the side, and then the better video or the better games will get the chunk of the video, and they'll get more in-depth talking, and I can show a little bit more of the game and why I actually enjoyed it. Also, then I'm actually playing these games and I'm not just pulling words out of my ass, which kind of helps, I guess. It makes it a little bit more credible that, yes, if I say the game is good, it's good. You can see it on screen that it's fun and at least looks good for what it is. But that's the idea behind going into what we'll be calling Season 2 of Collecting from Scratch. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you have any suggestions for anything I should do going into Season 2, you can comment them and we'll see what we can do. I do want to do this series a lot better than I've done it previously, and I think we strayed a little further away from what I initially envisioned than I would have liked. So going forward, we're going to try to redo this. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on Monday with more nerd news.